Hi friends! Welcome back to Disabled in Nature, where we talk about all things that are disabled in nature and sometimes we go outside. My name is Marissa and I am disabled. Do you like my new shirt? It says less pity, more ramps. It's got like some flowers in the background. It's very cute and I like it. If you're interested in getting one, if they're still for sale, I think it was a limited run, I will link it down in the description so you can go get one of your own. Anyway, we're here today to talk a little bit more about my specific disability. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of the details of Facioscapulohumeral Muscular Dystrophy, or FSH, which I've discovered that I've been spelling incorrectly my entire life. In my defense, it is a long, weird word. I've been putting an S before the C in facio, and there's no S. There isn't one. To start at the very beginning, muscular dystrophies are a group of neurological disorders that cause progressive weakening of the muscles throughout the body. There are about 30 different types of muscular dystrophies, and they all affect the body in different ways. My kind, FSH, is one of the most common types of muscular dystrophy. FSH, or Facioscapulohumeral Muscular Dystrophy, was named that because of the muscle groups that it presents in first, usually. So fascio, that's the face, scapulo, that's the shoulder girdle area, and then humeral is your upper arms, because your upper arm bone is called the humerus. The condition was named after these three muscle groups because those are the ones that are generally affected in every individual that has the condition and are generally the first affected. However, lots of people also have lower body involvement. Next most common symptom is something called foot drop, which is basically a weakness in the muscles of your ankle that, instead of if your foot is usually like this, it causes the muscles in the ankle to make the foot all droopy. It can cause lots of falls and injuries, stuff like that, because your foot isn't, usually you walk like heel, toe. And when you have foot drop, you can't pick your toes up to that heel toe motion. So it's just kind of like skidding across the ground. And then some people like me have involvement throughout their whole body. So not only do I have like the face and the shoulder and the upper arm weakness and the foot drop, but I also have core weakness. So like my abdominal muscles are really getting weaker over time, and also my trunk muscles, which is your butt. So weak butt. Yeah, I have a weak butt. One of the hallmark symptoms is that it has an asymmetrical presentation. That means that the muscle weakness is not the same on either side of the body. So like for me, for example, in general, my right side is much, much weaker than my left. Except for my ankles, for some reason, those are switched. And my left ankle is weaker than my right. I have no idea why, but it's really convenient for driving. I'll demonstrate. So you can see my left side of my face is much stronger than the right. So when I pucker, it looks like this. Common symptom of people with FSHD is that crooked pucker, a crooked smile. Can you tell? Is it crooked? Sloping shoulders and scapular winging. So there's really not many muscles holding my shoulder blades in place. You can see that my shoulders kind of slope down, whereas they should be, if I kind of pull my shoulder blades into where they would go. They should look like this, I think, but they look like that because of the shoulder sloping. And I think maybe if I turn, you might be able to see scapular winging. You can see you can kind of see my scapula popping out there when I try and lift my arm. And that's what the scapular winging looks like and how that shoulder girdle weakness affects the ability to lift the arms. FSHD can present in a bunch of different stages of people's lives, but generally people are diagnosed by their mid-20s. There are a lot of people have something called early onset FSHD, and they're generally diagnosed before the age of 10, I think is the parameters, but they show symptoms very early in life. And I was part of that category. These people generally have earlier weakness and their progression is much more severe over time. And some people don't start seeing symptoms until they're like 50s. It's super weird. It affects everybody really differently. The severity of progression can be really different from person to person and even between family members. So FSHD is genetic. It's generally hereditary, although it can result from a de novo or a new mutation within an individual. But most cases, it is passed down through the generations of a family. Mine was passed to me from my dad, and he got it from his dad, and he got it from his dad. And then I think that would have been my great-grandfather, and I think he got it from his mother. So I can trace it back at least 4 generations, and it has presented differently in every single person. And in my family specifically, it seems to have gotten worse faster. Like, we've been presenting younger and younger and losing abilities younger and younger. So like my great-grandfather, he passed away when he was in his early 80s when I was in middle school. And I couldn't even tell that he had FSHD. Whereas like me, I've been using some kind of mobility aid since I was 20 years old, and I had leg braces at like 15. And my dad just started using mobility devices and he's 50. And my grandfather can still walk. He has the sloping shoulders and the facial weakness, but other than that, like, you can't really even tell that he has it. So it's really interesting how it affects people differently, even people that got it from each other. You know, you think that it would be the same as it goes down, but it's not. I don't know if that increase in severity and earlier progression of symptoms is because it's moving down the generations, or if that's just a coincidence from my family. I have no idea. So what causes FSHD? Bear with me here. We're gonna get a little sciencey. So like I said, FSHD is a genetic mutation, and it is a genetic mutation on chromosome 4. I would love to nerd out with all of you genetics people about the like specifics of how many repeats are cause the mutations and how many repeats determine the different types of FSHD, because there's a type 1 and a type 2, and what my family has, because we're super special and lucky, a fabled type 3, but I don't want to lose everyone, so I'm going to keep it basic. The basic genetic mechanism of FSHD is that there is a mutation on chromosome 4, which causes the expression of a protein called DUX4. DUX4 is a toxic protein that causes cell death, and it is present in early embryonic development. So, little genetics 101, every cell in your body has the same DNA. Genes can just be turned on or off by different mechanisms. Genes can also be turned on and off through different stages of life, generally through embryonic and fetal development. So in early embryonic and fetal development, this gene is turned on and it causes programmed cell death. It causes apoptosis. It's necessary during that time because there are a lot of cells in the development process that you don't need when you become a fully developed human infant. So it does stuff like that in early embryonic development. And in people without FSHD, after it's done what it needs to do in that early development, it turns off and it never turns on again. It's a dormant gene for the rest of that person's life. In people with FSHD, that gene continues to be expressed in muscle cells because of this mutation. Basically what happens is that this gene is never turned off and it slowly expresses this toxic protein, this DUX4, in muscle cells over the person's life and causes those muscle cells to die. So my muscles are basically slowly poisoning themselves to death, if that makes sense. It sounds pleasant. I promise that the actual poisoning part doesn't hurt. I can't tell. That's what's happening if I understand my biology correctly. There are no therapies or treatments or cures for FSHD yet. There are a lot of different studies being done that target different points of the genetic process in which this toxic DUX4 protein is made. Maybe I'll do a whole other nerdy video later about the actual like mechanisms of the genes and making of the protein and how those treatments that are in the pipeline to get FDA approval are trying to target different portions of the genetic process, but not now. That would be a lot. So that's a little bit about my disability. Let me know if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, and let me know if you want to see more videos about my specific disability. If you want to nerd out about genetics or treatment mechanisms or anything like that. I'm gonna make a lot more videos about my disability journey, the emotional side, my mobility aid journey, because I have a lot more to say. Thanks for spending some time with me here on this corner of the internet today, friends. Until next time, be well, don't forget to get outside, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!